Welcome, all you beautifully miserable people, to another edition of the Hollywood Heels podcast. I am one half of your hosting situation, the rock star, the Renaissance man, the Duke Russo, and I am joined by the divine voice himself, Henron. What is up, Henron?
What's going on, man? You got your boy Henron here. You know, just chilling, man. Some good action that we had on today's show. How you doing today?
I can't complain, sir. So we got a edition of Raw to cover here. It is the September 4th edition of Raw coming from Charlotte, North Carolina. It is the first Raw after Payback. So, you know, more often than not, we got Raw starting off with Seth Rollins for a Monday Night Rollins or sometimes the Judgment Day. But now, this Raw began with Jey Uso. It's just me, Us.
Just me.
And then for the first match that we had Drew and the Bro versus the Viking Raiders in a tornado tag match in which the Viking Raiders came out on top after a little mix-up with Kofi Kingston. We had a segment with Seth where he finally made his entrance, came out to the crowd, blessed us all, donning Henron's favorite ring gear. After that, we had a match with Shinsuke Nakamura and Ricochet, in which Ricochet won by disqualification. This was kind of led into by the Seth segment. Into a Judgment Day segment. After that, we had a match between Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, in which Shayna Baszler came out on top. A match between Raquel and Chelsea Green, in which Raquel made pretty quick work of Chelsea Green. A little Gable promo teasing into the main event match. And then we had an edition of Miz TV, followed by a match between JD McDonough and Sami Zayn, in which JD McDonough came out on top with a little help from the Judgment Day. And then we finally had our main event, the Intercontinental title holder, the Ring General. I can't do it as well as Kaiser can. Gunther versus Chad Gable, where Gunther now is the longest reigning Intercontinental champion of all time. Pretty impressive feat for a pretty impressive wrestler. And that's how we ended the show. So, what do you got to say about Jay's intro, man?
Starting off with the main event, you can't do nothing better than that. He finally got to say, you know, welcome to Monday Night Raw. I want to say that. Like, that's got to be, you know, I want to find the list of people who actually have said that, because I guarantee you it's probably an exclusive list of people, you know?
It probably is, and he loved it too.
Yeah, he really enjoyed that, and the crowd loved him. You know, coming through the crowd, you know, crowd loves that. When he, you know, got up on the top rope to get the whole crowd bopping, the whole arena was on their feet, hands in the air, up and down like a T-Pain song, man. It was wonderful to see. He talks for a little bit, admits, you know, I know y'all missed me, but I ain't been gone too long, you know, so I'm glad he could acknowledge that.
In WWE terms, you know, it was a decent break.
It really was. With him, the tiny stint that him and Jimmy were gone, it's like the Bloodline. Who are they? you know.
Yeah,
But he
and
said,
I do have a critique of his new music though. Like it's literally just me Oos. Like there's very little substance on top of it. And while I do love it, I actually listened to like line by line this time, and I was like, literally 90% of the song is it's just me Oos.
yeah, I do think there should have been like another little hook in there, like the Usos. They said like line them all up, knock them down like pins, like just something to put it back together. But either way, it still bops. I don't mean hands up. I love. I could hear it in my head, but I'm still kind of listening to the old Usos, which I guess is kind of a play off of that, but still really
Yeah.
good.
I mean, he did acknowledge that just through his history and everything, first that he hit his breaking point finally from just continually fighting with his family, and he just couldn't handle that anymore. And he knows now that because of his family history, that he's created quite a few enemies on the Raw roster. There's really not too many people on the roster that I would say are his friends. And right when that comes out, cue Sami Zayn music, man.
And yeah, like right before Sami Zayn cut out, he hit the line. He said, I might have made some enemies, but you know where to find me, cause it's just me, Oos, and the main event is now in your city. Basically telling anybody to step up, and it's the old homeboy, Sami Zayn, coming out there, and Sammy's happy for him. Says, I'm glad that you made it out of that toxic relationship. The whole time in my head, I know Jay's a good guy and we're going to cheer for him. But the whole time in my head, I'm like, man, kick him. Just kick him,
No. I knew that they were going to hug it out at the end. And I mean, they got the hug it out chants going and everything. And Jay gave him, the cold shoulder at first. We knew Sammy was going to welcome him with open arms. That's just like, Sammy's been throwing him that line for the last couple months, dude. Like, really just offering that hand. And, Jay hits him with the, I guess that wasn't very usey of me. And then they do hug it out. And, during this segment, I was thinking about something that you and I had spoke about in the last pod of just, some plays with Jay of like maybe teaming him back up with Sammy a little bit, and maybe bringing him in with KO and just whoever feuds with the Judgment Day and everything. But as I thought about it more, I don't want that, because wasn't the whole point of this of like establishing both him and Jimmy as singles competitors now? So like, I don't want them to just like come over to Raw and then join the tag team. I understand every now and then they'll have like a group match or whatever, but I want like as little tag matches as possible with him, and I just want singles for just establishing that main event dominance, dude. Like how many tag main events are there? It's always a banger single match. So yeah, I really hope he just stays with singles as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't want to see him tag with anybody aside from his brother. Realistically, we'll wait another year for that to be put back together, because that'll be nice. But yeah, he's the main event. Keep him, get a singles run going. Let's see that action. Maybe a little bit of group feuding when needed, but shouldn't be the prime focus of anything. And I think we get to see one of his big feuds coming up, because as he's leaving, who's on their way out? We have
we got Drew and Bro staring them both down.
And they both got beef with him, especially Drew. And as I'm thinking about this, we've been hyping up Drew's heel turn, and as the episode goes on, they actually build a list of opponents for Drew when he turns heel. In my opinion, I got some notes on those as we go through the show. But in this instance right here, I'm just thinking of Matt Riddle going heel, because that was not a person that I'd ever thought, what would their heel run be like? Because I mean, the guy can go, and if he's a heel, like he could just beat the fuck out of people. Like, and it'd be fairly legitimate with his background. I know WWE kind of gave up on pushing the guy because he gets higher than me, but I mean, come on, man. Like that, there's money in that, and I don't know how you change him from being a bro. Is he going to be the dude? Like, what's a bad guy version of bro? You
That's
know?
that's the hard thing for me, is to like see him in any light outside of just like the stoner bro. And the stoner bro is just always friends with everyone. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I I have a hard time seeing that with Riddle. Um, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so that was into the entrance of the first match of those two versus the Viking Raiders in a tornado tag. Those are always on the chaotic side, just because of the format of the match. But like right before the match actually started, they cut to a quick segment with Seth, where Seth was apparently not medically cleared to even be there, according to Pierce. But he's like, nah, man, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. I'm good to go. Ricochet's there, gives Seth some props for just always putting on a good show and always being out there, but that he doesn't have to carry the show alone. And then we cut back to the match. So really beginning the match, kind of what you would expect. And to me, one of the first like interesting moments was when Drew threw Riddle out of the ring, and Riddle didn't really know what was going on, and then he realized, oh yeah, man, you just used me as a weapon, bro, to take out the Raiders. I liked that. I like Riddle's like late epiphanies, the stoner epiphany. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. He's just catching on to things, just a little too slow. Doesn't realize that maybe most of these people aren't really your friend, bro. You know?
Yeah. Like let's face it, Drew ain't exactly his friend. I don't even know what I would call that relationship. And Drew is always stoic faced anyway. So like when he throws you out of the ring with a straight face, you might want to question that a little bit.
Yeah, he's not come across as a friendly guy. Anytime that there's anything going on, he's always giving Riddle shit. But aside from that, though, they generally got along during the match, even though most of it was spent with Drew just kind of seemingly MIA and Riddle just getting 2v1 a lot of the match inside the ring. I know some of my favorite parts. There was one where I guess Drew was about to go in on Homeboy. He hit him with a big Death Valley driver, which I don't know if I've ever seen Drew do that. He's going in for the Claymore, doing his cheesy count, which I don't know why he added that. I guess that's to get the crowd into it, but you don't need the count. It just makes it obvious that you're about to do your move. But
I mean, you got Roman with the ooh wah. You mean like it's the same damn thing. The spear's coming. So if Roman can do it, Drew can do it.
Yeah, but it did not help him here because as he's counting, Viking Raiders, the other guy pulled him out of the ring, so he wasn't able to hit it. Drew does go out there, throws Ivar, who's the bigger one, over the table, the announce table, and he's beating up Eric on the outside. Hits him with a nice over-the-head belly-to-belly, but as he throws him over his head, he lands on his back, and seemingly out of nowhere, Ivar comes back with a nice splash off the announce table as Drew's laying on the ground. I love that. I love that a lot.
Yeah, and I know you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but like for big dudes, Viking Raiders are surprisingly nimble, but you got to go back to their NXT days to see it. They haven't really carried that over to WWE, so I would love for them to work that in a little bit more. I love when Riddle did your favorite thing and started asking for tables, and Drew just threw him like, no, dude, I ain't doing that shit. Like, either you do it or ain't nobody doing it. And then Riddle went to go get the tables. Meanwhile, Drew was beaten down on Ivar, and then Riddle came in the ring in time to hit him with like double suplex. And they pulled the table out of the way. So that spot was less dramatic than it could have been. But yeah, Drew was just really dominant, as you could expect of just, dude, Drew is just a monster. And I really do wish they would push him a little bit more.
And Drew is one of those few big guys who can do everything. You know, like he can hit a kip up, he can hit a swanton. You know, he can do everything. He can lift the big man while still looking athletic. The guy's like 6'5", like he's the prototype. You know, I know he had his championship title run during the pandemic, and everybody feels he was slighted because of that. You know, he had such a good run in NXT. You know, one of the best NXT champions that there was, in my opinion. And speaking briefly back on NXT, and you were talking on the Viking Raiders, they were my number 2 tag team everywhere before they joined WWE. You know, formerly known as the War Raiders. They'd come out and the crowd is just chanting war. You know, and I don't know, even after NXT, they got gimped. You know, they had a beautiful finish where they call it the Viking Experience. I don't know, that giant pop-up power slam. You know, that's beautiful. I guess they do the Ragnarok now because they're bad guys, and it's just a double power bomb, which we see here shortly. You know, getting into the ending of the match, you know, they did move that table out the way. Riddle's going up top, but he does get distracted by Valhalla, gets knocked off. He's getting 2v1'd, and we have a surprise guest. For some reason, Kofi came out to help. I
wasn't expecting that entirely, especially after the incident with Xavier Woods and Drew. That was a little surprising to me, but like as soon as the shenanigans went down and he ended up hitting Riddle with the Trouble in Paradise, I guess it was really full circle. And you're right, like all of this is really setting up Drew for a heel turn of just like, you know, fuck everybody type of vibes from him. But yeah, after that, Raiders used that momentum and then used that table and finally hit the Ragnarok and you know, pin Riddle for the win. Kofi was apologetic afterwards. Drew really was not very receptive to it, just kind of stared him down. Riddle was much more accepting of it. And we'll have a segment later on where they kind of play that up a little bit more. But yeah, it wasn't a bad way to start Raw. I thought it was pretty decent. And then this is where we go right into Seth and Monday Night Rollins.
And before we jump into that, something throughout the night as well, they just had the random IC title recaps of just hyping up the Intercontinental Championship as a whole throughout the show leading up to the main event.
Oh, yeah. And that alone told you that Gunther was going to win.
For sure. And some things I just wanted to comment on. I really enjoy this current belt design. I think it's the best belt design that there has ever been. I also think the IC belt in general, I don't think it's had a bad iteration. Like, I think the only way this new one could get better is if they put it back on a white strap. I think that would make it even more fire than it already is.
Yeah, I think the white strap would look sick. I agree. I'm a fan of like the gold and the lions and whatnot. Like I'm not a huge fan of the big W ones, which I feel like are half of them at this point. Especially when they redesign one and it's like, oh wow, you made another W one. Cool, thanks. Did you hear if they're going to unveil a new one for Gunther or not, or what?
I've not heard anything like that. I think they should. I think that'd be a nice, ceremony or something, because they're definitely going to do something next week with him if they're not giving him the week off, which, I mean, fuck, he deserves. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would be really nice to see Triple H come out and do something for that. I mean, I feel like he's established a trend of usually when something big like that happens, he comes out and addresses it. And I mean, he obviously always addresses shit on Twitter and in interviews, but it would be cool for him to come out in the ring and have some sort of ceremony for Gunther, as long as the rest of the Imperium stays away. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, I feel you there. But back to where we were, Seth came out, crowd singing his song. As this is going on, my girl randomly walks through the kitchen and she starts singing along with it. So it's just infectious. You know, there was a long commercial break, and I guess they were just singing through the entire commercial break. So that's a great way to keep things going, you know, keep them entertained in the building. I gotta get to one of these Raw shows just for that.
Yeah, and I always wonder. See, I'm out towards the West Coast, so I usually don't get to watch like any of the shows actually live because they air like the same time out here for me. You know, they start at 8 o'clock for me. So usually by the time a show airs, Twitter spoiled the entire X. Well, I still don't know what the fuck to call it at this point anymore.
It's Twitter.
Yeah, it'll always be Twitter. And Elon will probably just change it back. Like he'll wait till everybody starts calling it X, and then he'll change it back to Twitter just because he's a real life troll.
Yeah.
But I always wonder like how doctored some of those breaks are. And actually, after this segment, I had a problem with how the break kind of transitioned it. Sometimes they handle it well, sometimes they don't. But yeah, so Seth talking to the crowd, goes over the fight with Nakamura and you know how he went in on his back and everything, and said that Becky had to wheel him out of the arena that night. I hope somebody got pictures of that. But he's pissed and he calls Shinsuke out and challenges him to a rematch right then and there. Asks Shinsuke to come out, to which he does, and Shinsuke says no. He says a bunch of stuff in Japanese, which I tried to find a full translation of. I did not, but one line that I found that was translated was, "The future that you want will be killed by me. Shut up and wait."
Shit.
Which I love. Like that's some good shit. I mean, that's basically Shinsuke thing is he wants to be in control and he wants it to happen on his terms, not on Seth's terms. Which is a mental game, you know, and that wins matches too sometimes, you know?
Yeah, and what I'm thinking as this is going on, yeah, you want your rematch, Seth, and I thought he was gonna call for some type of stipulation because he's there talking about, you know, I thought about giving up, but I didn't, this or that, you know, only one of us, you know, was walking out of it. I'm like, is this going to be a last man standing match? Are we going to get an Iron Man match? Because I feel like you put that kind of large stipulation on a match between these two, we might actually get what we wanted. And this could also explain why that previous match was a little lackluster to the both of us, because they were saving it for something much more. So I'm eager to see what they do next. It was beautiful that, you know, Seth is there trying to get this man to fight him, and then Shin says this a whole bunch in Japanese, and I'm sitting there like, I want to know what's going on. And then I love that Seth acknowledges it, and he's like, I'm not going to pretend to understand what you said. I'm just going to assume you're accepting the fight. And obviously that's a no. And then he says it again, no. But Seth is just really hype about it. And he says, whether you like it or not, you're about to get that work, son, before he charges him on the ramp. Oh, man.
It was a good segment. This is why, as much as I love Seth, he's not going to have a long reign. Because we've seen like all the long reigns, they require, even if you're a face with a long reign, they usually require some sort of willingness to like always try to tip the match into your favor. You know what I mean? But like Seth doesn't give a shit, dude. Like Seth will fight anybody, anyway, in any context, and I love him for it. But that's going to be what leads to his downfall. He doesn't have a faction behind him. You know, I've never even seen Becky really help him. So like he's on an island by himself, and he's very honorable since he's turned face, you know? Um he doesn't really like play it up that way, but he wants to be the working man's champion. And he's done I've seen and heard some people say stuff like, well, you know, what has Seth actually really done with the belt? He's fucking defended it. That's what he's goddamn done. Like he has more defenses in a 2-month period than Roman has in a year. So like I love Seth for that. But at the same time, it's also what is probably going to lead to his downfall. And I would be shocked if he has the belt by the end of this calendar year.
Oh, for sure. I honestly would be shocked if he makes it into the holiday seasons. I think he's probably losing it sooner rather than later. One thing I do love about Seth is you give that man a belt and you're going to see that belt and you're going to see good matches every single time. Later on, there's another IC recap and they show Seth up there. And in my recent memory, Seth is the best IC champion that we have had recently. Like the last run that he did, he elevated that belt. That belt might as well have been the World Heavyweight Championship that he has right now, because that's exactly how he treated it, how WWE treated it, you know, because they gave him those big spots, those big matches, you know. Was great runs back then. But one thing that's probably going to shorten up this current run is his back issues. You know, as he's fighting up that ramp with Shinsuke gets a nasty kick to the back, and Seth is down on the ground until Ricochet, you know, came in to help him. Ricochet was backstage earlier with Adam Pearce, who got interrupted by Seth, which leads us backstage again with Adam Pearce and Seth, where Adam Pearce says, "You're running at the pace no champion has ever run at." And that comment right there, I think Orange Cassidy might have something to say about that, but you know, we'll leave that at that. And Seth is pissed and says, "I don't work for you." So was he gonna go to the H-ster? You know, he's going up the ladder. You know, we're gonna get Seth going up to Triple H to make a match. You know, that could be interesting from there.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And I love how they were literally just screaming at each other. You know, usually, you know, Pierce's segments can be on the corny side sometimes and whatnot, but I really liked this one from him because he's literally just screaming at Seth, basically saying, "I'm trying to save you from yourself, dude. Chill." And it was impactful. Now this is where my problem came in with that particular break segment, is because we come back and it's just a match with Shinsuke and Ricochet, and I'm like, okay, where did this come from? Like, this wasn't a match. Like, I know that Ricochet said, hey, you know, you don't have to do this alone, and basically like volunteered himself to help out and everything, but like, you know, usually you at least get some sort of segment where Pierce either makes something official or whatnot, and then all of a sudden we're just into this match. I was like, that was kind of weird pacing. But yeah, that's our next match, is Shinsuke versus Ricochet. Not a terribly long match. I did enjoy. I mean, I enjoy Ricochet. He's a great in-ring performer. You know, I should really probably go back and watch more of his New Japan days, because I bet they were absolutely banger. But the dude never disappoints in the ring.
Yeah, and if you're also looking for some entertainment, look for Lucha Underground. There's an individual named Prince Puma. He wears a mask, but he might look quite familiar.
Oh boy.
There's a lot. I mean, it's what you would expect in a short Shinsuke versus Ricochet match. You know, each one of them got to hit a little bit of their highlight reel. Shinsuke, of course, taking more over because it's his match. I hope this can potentially lead to Seth being upset that Ricochet came out and, "I don't need your help, I can do this myself," and then we get a cute little Ricochet Seth match, because I feel like that'd be fun.
Yeah,
But
that'd be a fire match for sure.
But the only things I really noted during this, aside from the ending, was Priest and Rhea were watching this match. There was like a cut backstage, and I believe Priest and Ripley were just watching this, and I was kind of confused because I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What do? Why?
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, it made sense later, but yeah, I mean, to me, it was a very Ricochet match. You know, dude. I mean, he had a great standing shooting star, and I mean, not many wrestlers can hit a standing shooting star. Um, and anything that involves him with his entire body off the ground is a banger. Um, and I would say for the majority of the meat, like the middle part of the match, Ricochet had control for a good amount, but eventually Shinsuke just, I mean, clearly he didn't even really want this match, so he just gets a chair, hits Ricochet, DQ, Ricochet wins. And he's lost it, dude. Like, he just continued to brutalize Ricochet, but who came out to save him?
Seth came out, of course, rushing down there, trying to save Rico. They're just brawling all over the place until Shin throws him into the steps, hits him with the chair, and bails because out of nowhere Rico's back. He's like, "Oh, I'm still alive," and Shin's like, "Hey, I got my little 2 cents in. I think I'm a chill for today."
Yep. So, and then this is where the shot of Rhea and Priest sort of made sense, is because they were watching and they saw Seth get injured again. And Rhea just looks at Priest and says, "Not tonight," which I don't know why. Like, they have no pride or honor. I mean, they have pride in themselves, I guess, a little bit, but like, they're not trying to like beat people the right way or anything. So like, why not tonight? That's the whole thing. I want Seth to hold on to the belt longer, and I don't really want to see him lose it to anybody in the Judgment Day. But at the same time, like, why not tonight? Like, this is where you draw the line. It doesn't make sense.
And I don't think, like, I love Damian Priest, and I was shocked and surprised when they actually gave him the briefcase, and I still don't see him as a top single star. I honestly think they're going to use the cash-in angle to get him out of the Judgment Day. I think that Rhea has some type of master manipulation plan holding him off and going to tell him to go at a certain opportunity. He's going to fail because the Judgment Day is going to end up stopping him from properly cashing in, or winning his cash-in attempt, I should say.
Yeah, and that's going to be some drama. I also would not be surprised if he cashes in on somebody else, because that would seem like a very WWE thing to do, of just like, they're building up this cash in, they're building up this cash in, they're building up this cash in, and then he cashes in on Gunther. You know what I mean? Like, I could see something weird like that. But this leads us right into the next segment, which is a Judgment Day segment. They came out, addressed the crowd. They're one of those heel factions that I would say, as a whole, are generally appreciated by the fans. They generally get some decent responses. Yeah, they get a little bit booed, as you would expect, but it's really not until Dom opens his mouth that the crowd loses their mind, because that kid could not say a word. I literally have no idea what he said in this entire segment, because those boos were some of the loudest I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, man. The day Dirty Dom stops getting booed, he's lost it, because that's how you know it's gold still. It doesn't matter the arena, on NXT, on Raw, on SmackDown, on pay-per-view, doesn't matter. He's getting booed out the building, and it's beautiful. And this group, when they first came out, all this gold, oh man, everybody just holding it up. Like, when's the last time we saw a dominant group like this? Even with a woman involved, seldom do we see a woman's champion involved in a faction. I can't recall the last time I saw that.
Unless it's a women's faction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not common. And honestly, what I love about them having all the gold the most is that, you know, you got Mommy with the top women's belt, more or less. Um, you've got Priest and Balor with the unified, more or less, tag belts. And then you got little Dom with his baby NXT belt.
At least he's got something, right? He's there, and he when he's getting booed, he could just be up there saying peas and carrots. It does not matter because they're gonna boo him out the motherfucking building. But as soon as Finn Balor starts talking, then the crowd slows down because the crowd does love Finn. He was a face for a long time, gave the crowd a lot of what they were looking for. They had one of those intros where the whole crowd got into it, so they showed him a lot of respect.
And they love Rhea, too.
Very much so, very much so. And what was speaking of Rhea, Dom's shirt? I don't know if I haven't been paying attention in previous weeks. It's a black shirt, and it says Monday Night Mommy.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh man, I don't know who's buying that. But they're probably making some good merch money off that. But Finn starts talking, giving out thanks to everybody.
Damn. Grand Slam, Finn.
Exactly that. My bad. Grand Slam Finn, because that's exactly what we were talking about on the last podcast. Like, was this it? I'm glad they acknowledged it. I'm glad he acknowledged it and came out there and said, "Show me my respect for who I am." So
and he deserves it.
Great. Real talk.
And Rhea declares the bloodline has fallen. We'll see. Because just when you think they're down, they're not. That I would say, yeah, right this second, Judgment Day is probably here's my thing. They're probably the most dominant faction right now, but usually the most dominant faction has one of the top men's belts, and they don't. So until either Finn, Priest, please don't give Dom anything.
Dirty
decent. Dom. Until one of them wins either the World Championship, the Universal Championship, one of those belts, it's hard for me to call them the most dominant faction in the WWE.
Yeah, I can agree with you there, and if that's the case, then I don't think they will ever get that title of that, because I don't see, if Priest wins, I don't see him winning it as part of the faction, and I don't see Balor, not anytime soon, at least not as a heel.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, but I don't. That's my own personal where I'll draw the line. But so as they're going through this, we get an interruption. JD McDonough comes out, and honestly, besides Finn, I would say they weren't really thrilled. You know, Priest says, "Oh, just when I was starting to like you, dude. Like now, you know, make it good." He made it good. He told Priest that the briefcase is cursed and it's got to go, and it's just got to go. And obviously, that wasn't received very well by Priest. And he says, "No. That briefcase has got to go because you need this one." And he unveils a Judgment Day colored Senor Money in the Bank briefcase. And that was pretty smooth. That was a nice moment.
Yeah, I knew he had something. I figured it was a new briefcase because the way he was carrying it, it didn't look like new titles. But I knew it had to be something, and there's your merch money right there as well. You know, get your Halloween briefcases. Now it's got Senor on there, so we can touch our, you know, Latinx fans out there. I did love when he came out. Finn just kind of looks away. He's like, I don't know this guy, you know, as he's starting to talk. And then he says something along the lines of, "Yeah, I remember what you said, Rhea." And then Rhea's looking around like, "What did I say?" And I'm like, "What did she say?"
Yeah.
I was trying to think back to exactly what he was referencing, but that's great. Also, if that Money in the Bank briefcase that Priest has the contract in it. I didn't see them take the contract out and put it in the new thing. Is it just like
They did.
oh
They had a segment. The weird thing is I when I rewatched Raw, I didn't see the segment, so I don't know if I missed it or whatever. But I saw the segment on Twitter where it was with just Finn and Priest, and they were joking about the briefcase, and they're like, "Yeah, man, that thing is cursed. So hopefully this will bring some new in vigor to the briefcase situation." And Finn was like, "Oh yeah, but it's not official. The briefcase itself doesn't matter. It's what's inside the briefcase and then they moved the contract over, but they still hung on to the other belt, other briefcase. So I'm not wondering if there's still going to be some like double briefcase shenanigans where, this is maybe a hot take, but maybe somebody betrays Priest and puts the contract in the original briefcase.
ooh.
And Priest goes to cash in with the purple one, but then there's no contract in it. And then Finn comes out with the green one, and there's the contract.
Okay, yes, dude. That's a beautiful twist and turn too, because then it was JD who helped mastermind this, who's Finn's friend, and all leading up to potentially kicking Priest out of the Judgment Day. Oh man, that would be great. And I feel like
I'm available for hire, Triple H, just in case you're listening.
I saw some clips on Twitter, and I saw like an interview segment with the two of them sitting down, but I didn't watch it. But like I don't know, sometimes they do have just like online specials that they don't air.
Yeah,
but
like digital exclusive or whatever they call it.
Yeah, like I might have just missed it, right? But
that's why I couldn't remember if it was either one of those. But usually, like the digital exclusive will be something like that, But the digital exclusive that pissed me off was Nakamura attacking Seth after the match. Like that bothered me that was a Twitter only thing, because like that's serious implications. You know what I mean? Like that says that this is going on. But I already went on that rant. Anyway, back to Judgment Day. So when they're doing this briefcase segment, we get another interruption from none other than Sami Zayn again, to attack the championship stealing turds.
And Dom's the biggest of them all.
Yeah. So naturally he issues a challenge to Dom, and McDonough says Dom ain't fighting nobody. Everybody kind of looks around at each other, and he says, "You're fighting me." And then Sammy dropped the line of the night. "I'm so glad you opened your arse." That was, I don't know if he meant to say ass or mouth, but yeah, he said ass. So I'm glad JD opened his ass.
Man, without Kevin, is Sammy just unhinged? Like everybody, he's just got to come out every single time. I'm surprised we didn't see him come out a third time. Just fucking cuz. You know what I'm saying?
Why not? So after this, we had a quick segment where Pierce made the Chelsea Green and Raquel fight official. Naturally, Chelsea Green not happy because she knows she's going to get her ass beat. And then we go right into Shayna Baszler versus Zoe Stark, which I thought was a women's match that I really wanted to see. Zoe's getting real face push vibes right now from the company, and I really like it.
Yeah, we had a couple segments of Shayna and Zoe kind of, chesting up backstage, and all I'm thinking is neither one of them can afford a loss. I think they should tag up and take over the women's division, so that way we have an actual division, because I feel like there's only 4 teams, and there was a segment with Pierce and Chelsea talking about the titles being cursed, and fuck, I think they are. Like,
they might be.
Oh my God. Ever since they brought those titles in, it's one thing after another.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't really want them to team up. I don't know if you've seen and heard everything, but I've seen so many articles come out in the past week or two about how enamored creative is with Zoe right now. So I think that we're gonna get this Zoe, even though she lost the match. I think we'll eventually get Zoe Rhea, which I think will be an absolute banger match. This was a good match. Don't get me wrong. They had some really nice moments. You know, Shayna's a savage, so she targets a body part and weakens you there. She really focused on Zoe's left arm and hand in particular. But Zoe just has such great in-ring potential. You know, she hit a gorgeous springboard drop kick and just nailed Shayna with it. I thought it was a really, really nice spot for her.
Yeah, that was a beautiful. She's extremely athletic ever since down in NXT. And I'm glad they moved her up because when she was down there, she was with the current ilk of women that are down there, and she stood out for good reason. I'm glad they are noticing exactly how good she really is because she's an asset and she could be leading your women's division. You know, you need to push her, put more eyes on her so people can see her for how good she is. Speaking of her being good, as we, you know, they're going back and forth, and as we kind of get into the tail end of the match, she has this move where she's like sitting on the top rope from the outside backwards, where she jumps and flips inside for like a senton, kind of like a Phoenix Splash kind of deal. She attempts to hit that on Shayna, but she gets caught in the choke. Of course, she's fighting out of it. She fights hard, but she gets dragged back into the middle, and Shayna, you know, locks the hooks in. She's got the body scissors. She's got it in tight. Looks like it's over, but she fights. She stands up. She rolls over, and you know she's fighting for the rope. Still got the choke, and then she gets her back to the ground, gets the hooks back in, and it's like, wow. Usually people don't get up twice, you know, from a submission. That's usually it after that point. Looks like she's fading, but hey, she fights again, fighting out, still has Baszler on her back, crawling, you know, on her knees trying to get out. And there were at times where she was inches from the rope. You could have touched the rope and got your break and probably continued on with the match, but never got a rope break. Shayna never broke the choke. They're back in the middle. She falls to her knees and she passes out. You know, it was good that she didn't tap. She didn't get pinned. She fought out harder than any woman, you know, has ever fought against Shayna, especially Shayna's words, you know, at the end of the match. She says, "Gave me a better fight than Ronda ever did." So,
yeah, she was in the Cure Food clutch for like over a minute, dude. And I was like, wow, this is a long time. But like you said, neither women can really afford a loss. And this was probably the best way to end it, I felt like, because like you said, she didn't tap. Nobody got pinned. And usually those are like the most, you know, either this is not over or like I didn't really lose because I didn't give up. You know, she passed out. So I didn't feel like it was too damaging to Zoe by any means. If anything, like you said, there were a lot of impressive moments for her. So I think that helped just push her even a little bit more.
100%. I think we had big things on the horizon for her. And I mean, she's never going to win a belt on Raw. Kind of need her to go down to SmackDown to have some competition because,
well, there's some foreshadowing of how that could be a possibility.
For sure.
So after that, we had another quick Judgment Day. Dude, there were like 18 Judgment Day segments in this fucking Raw, dude. Like this was a little Judgment Day overkill. But you know, you got Finn basically begging the rest of them to let JD McDonough in the group. He says how they wouldn't be champs without him, but Priest says that he still needs to do more to prove himself, and Rhea wants to see how he'll do versus Sammy. She turns to Dom and says, you know, make sure things go according to plan, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, the number one thing for me in this segment was that they're always talking about how the Judgment Day doesn't have any leaders and they're all equals and this and that. Dude, Mommy is the fucking leader. Like, let's get that straight. Rhea Ripley is the leader of the Judgment Day, whether people want to admit it or not.
Yeah, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you don't think she's the leader, I dare you to go say that to her face because you won't.
Yeah, it
Oh
will
man.
not go well.
But yeah, I'm still confused and eager about this plan. I love suspense. Like that because all it does is make me think of what's that plan. Like you mentioned, it could be the whole Money in the Bank contract trick. What else could there be? What the hell else could they have scheming in the background?
So if that Money in the Bank contract shenanigans that I said earlier happens, and I'm wrong about who cashes in the real contract, and it's fucking Dom that cashes in and ends up winning the world title or something, dude, I think half the wrestling community will lose their minds.
It has to be done. Like now that you said it, that's it. That's what's happening, and it has to happen. And if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be mad. Oh my god, I need that. I hope if that happens and he comes out with merch, I'm gonna be the first in line to buy that. Speaking of merch, there's a plastic Fiend mask on sale on the WWE shop. I think all proceeds go to the Wyndham Rotund family. I don't know his real name, but I bought one. It's a cute little plastic mask. I think I'm gonna wear it for Halloween. But just a side
Nice.
note that
I also saw the Fiend belts too.
yeah, those are wild.
Yeah,
I want
some
to like,
Ed Gein shit. And if you don't know who Ed Gein is, you should probably look him up, or maybe don't if you're not into like really weird serial killers.
oh my god, I'd like to have one of those nice belts, but God, they're so expensive.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if you saw. I don't know how like much you keep up with the NFL, but they released NFL belts.
Dude.
Did you see them?
Yes, I literally have that in my notes. It's fucking highlighted. Why are they so ugly?
Well, it depends on the team. You know, I'm a New York Jets fan, so hate away people. But I kind of love them. Like at first, I was like, really, really, but then I saw them a couple times, and I was like, dude, my man cave is a recording studio. But if I had like a sports memorabilia man cave, I would 100% be buying one.
I don't know. Maybe they look better in person or something, man. But every time I see the commercial and they come out with those belts, and I'm an Eagles fan, and then the top four belts that they show are what? The Cowboys, the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the 49ers. I don't know, something like that. And I don't know. They just ain't it for me. And I just Googled it right now. 550 for that shit. I don't know, man. I think they look whack.
That is pricey. That is pricey. I mean, those belts, like you said, are extremely pricey. Um, but I don't know. I kind of liked it. I'm not going to be getting one because I just don't have like any sort of sports shrine memorabilia thing in my place. But if I did, I would think about it. Anyway, so that ended that segment, and then we got into the Raquel Rodriguez Chelsea Green match. This match was extremely short, and I liked it. My favorite thing about the match was that they cut to commercial after only one back flex, and we didn't have to watch the 8 other back flexes. That was the best part of the match.
Oh man, my notes. I wrote the back is back. She's back and she's doing it again. Not much to say about this match other than what you've mentioned, but man, that Tejano bomb that she hit her with, she fucking slammed her, dude. Like her head bounced off that mat. That was a vicious power bomb. And it looks like we get to see a nice little rematch next week. So that could be a good little, I assume, the main event for next week. So something to look forward to.
Dude, Chelsea Green, you know, I have mixed feelings about her usually, but I will say that she sells shit really good. Raquel ragdolling her was amazing. I loved that. And then the way she ate that Tejana bomb, like I give her props for that. She's usually really good at taking bumps, and she earns a nod for that.
Yeah, when she first came back or came in, I was not super familiar with, all of her recent work out on the indie scene or whatever. And her first couple of matches, every time she'd take some shit, it just looked like it was really bad. And I was like, oh man, like is that ring rust? Does she not know what's going on? Because she's fucking eating it. But no, I guess that's just her being great and me looking like a fool.
She I actually, so one of my notes, I verbatim wrote, I'm convinced that Chelsea is the Miz of the women's division.
Yeah.
I feel like I mean, not having a show, but she's the person that you put in a match that you know that they're going to lose, and you just kind of need a random match, and you're going to let somebody just beat the shit out of them and embarrass them. And I feel like that's Chelsea for the women's division.
Yeah, pretty much. After that, we had a nice another IC recap, and then we get to see a little bit of Chad Gable talking. He's got a master's degree, props. He's won every tag belt in WWE, which is nice. Some great runs in NXT, and I forgot he did win Raw and SmackDown belts, in his time there.
And he's an Olympian.
Yep, can never forget about that. He did have his family in the front row, which I wrote is never a good sign.
No.
But
no. Especially
love,
when they're like little children.
oh yeah, which something to note, as we get into the future, we'll talk more on that. But I love Chad Gable, and he's, harping back on what I was talking about between the Austin Theory Rey Mysterio match and Big Man Small Man, and how it was hard for me to kind of believe Rey Mysterio. Chad Gable's a small man that I can believe. Just thinking about this Gunther match, it made me think, can I get a Brock Lesnar Gable match? Could you imagine that?
Or let's up it even further. Chad Gable suplexing Omos.
Okay, I forgot Omos was on the roster. Yeah, just give me that. Give me that at like the Superstar Showdown or whatever. Show
or even like
doing.
even Drew, dude. Like Drew Gable would be a banger too. First off, all right, I don't. I'm gonna contain myself because I'm not gonna jump the gun on Gable. We'll talk about that when we talk about the main event. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I could say about Gable. But right after that, we have the quick segment with Riddle and Drew. It starts with Drew telling Riddle that he'll be watching Jay, and if Jay causes any trouble, he's going to take it out on Cody, which I found very interesting. I was wondering if that was foreshadowing to, a Cody Drew thing. But then they are interrupted by Kofi Kingston, who comes to apologize. And of course, the bro is like, it's all good, man. Drew, not so much. So again, are we just setting Drew up for the heel turn of just like, I hate everybody? That could be a possibility.
Yeah, Drew's like, I'll give you a pass this time. Bro, you're the one that got a pass. You threw a chair and legitimately injured my brother, bro.
Yeah.
like it's on you, man. But yeah, I think we're going to see either a tag match. I'm not too sure how long Xavier is going to be out, but I see something occurring where Jay ends up doing something in a tag match or something somewhere to make Drew mad. He's going to end up being upset. I think first on his list is Kofi. I think he's going to get a win to establish himself as a heel, probably move on to Cody would be my guess. Give Cody a nice big win, but that's a nice little feud for both of them to drag out for a little bit. And that's a big match. You could put that on a big four. That could be a Royal Rumble match or something.
I mean, there's plenty of, there's plenty of these, kind of smaller shows coming up between Fastlane and even Crown Jewel. Dude, I could see that as a Crown Jewel main event. Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, give me like a stip on that match. You know what I'm saying? Like, Iron Man, last man standing, no DQ, something. Because I don't know, we got to see some type of vicious side to Drew. And okay, he carries around a big sword that he
Yeah.
can kill
Use it.
people with.
Use it.
Oh
I
man.
miss like it's happened so few times, but when he gets a big win or after a big match and he just stabs the sword into the ring, I feel like I've only seen that happen once or twice, but man, it needs to happen more.
Yeah, he needs to do something with that sword, man. Like, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. And we know that that's not going to happen, right? But man, imagine.
Do we? Do we though? I mean, after this
Ooh,
whole NXT situation, do we?
I was just thinking that, like, what if you miss it? And that'd be so bad. That'd be so bad.
Yeah. Swords are a little bit dangerous. This led us right into Ms. TV. This segment was honestly probably funnier than it should have been. Um, he starts it off, claims that he didn't really lose, and Cena screwed him, and he calls out Cena and introduces him as his guest on Miz TV. So ba ba da ba, and we're waiting, and we're waiting.
Cameraman is it just starts moving around. I'm
Yeah,
like, huh?
and everybody's looking around. And oh, that's right. We can't see him. So yeah, Miz interviewed Cena, and he was the only one that could see him. But again, actually, I have to backtrack. He was once again introduced as the greatest of all time.
The goat.
Just like to point that out. Um, really, the only thing to say about this is that are we getting Cena Miz? Like, is that where this is going? Because I don't really feel like I need that in my life. But he just claims, oh, you can't see Cena, but I've always been able to see him and see right through him. And probably see, this is one thing that I would love to know on the back end of the business of just like, was Miz's intention the entire time to get the crowd doing the LA Knight yeah? Because if that was his intention, this whole segment was masterfully crafted.
Yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like it wasn't intended. I feel like the crowd just picked up and the Miz just kept doing his thing. But man, as much as anybody wants to say anything about the Miz, dude, give this man his flowers. Isn't he like a 2-time Grand Slam champion? Like, yeah, he may not always be the best in-ring performer, but he is one of the best sports entertainers because
Oh,
that's
for
what we
sure.
do in WWE.
Yeah, no, he's phenomenal on a microphone. His segments are phenomenal. Miz TV, more often than not, is amusing. And like I said, this segment was funnier than it should have been. Like, this should have been just a stupid segment, but The Miz made it funny. And him having a scuffle with the invisible Cena at the end and actually, like, taking bumps from it and not just making it a one-sided thing, like, I found it quite amusing.
Yes, dude, I'm gonna do a quick recap. Shout out to that cameraman. Cause he was just getting in it. There's a YouTube, not YouTube, there's a X clip out there where you could see the cameraman just running around, which is great. I love that Michael Cole is vocally as confused as we are. So it's like we're not crazy, Michael Cole kind of helps fill in the blanks there because some people were probably like, "What's going on? Is something actually happening?" And I love that Miz is like, "Don't worry, guys, I'll translate it for you." But he starts to ask him questions. Did you conspire against me?
Yeah.
The crowd's answering yeah, and it's like, well, I mean, technically the crowd should be chanting no, but whatever. Let him enjoy. And then he's like, "There you go, guys. Cena admitted it. It's a farce."
Yeah.
There was even a tiny balls chant, and I don't think he's ever going to be able to let that one down. I don't know who that actually started on. Was that Nakamura who started that with him? I can't remember, but
I don't know, but it's like it's part of him now at this point.
yeah, that's unfortunate. But it was a great little scuffle. There was a nice little face smush that he did to John Cena, but then it looked like John Cena like punked him because he got scared, and the crowd starts chanting, "Holy shit!"
Yeah. Dude, like I said, Miz just sold it really well. Good segment. Good segment. Once I realized in the beginning that they were gonna do the whole "you can't see me" route, I was like, oh, this is gonna be lame. But by the end, I was like, actually, you know what? Kudos, man. Kudos.
And I don't want to hear anybody talking shit about any indie scene bullshit about fighting the Invisible Man or fighting an inflatable doll, because if you pop to this, you ain't got shit to say. Because, I mean, I think there's Joey Janela versus the Invisible Man, or Joey Janela versus the inflatable doll. And, it's amazing. If you thought this was great, that shit is just as great because the crowd's into it. Oh, man, there's even a match between the Invisible Men brothers where the ref is just the ref.
That one I'm going to have to see.
Gotta love wrestling.
So we went right into a quick segment with Pierce and Jay. So Pierce lets Jay know that because he is now on Raw, that someone else from Raw will be traded to SmackDown, and that will probably piss people off and bring even more heat his way. And Jay acknowledges, goes off, and Tommaso is now led into Pierce's office. Now, my thing is that he's not the one that's going to get traded to SmackDown. Maybe Gargano is going to end up on SmackDown.
Yeah, I figured since we saw Ciampa, it might be something in that Gargano Ciampa storyline. In the back of my head, I'm just hoping that it's Cody that's getting traded, because I feel like he'd be a great addition to SmackDown. But I think it's going to be something to push that storyline along a little bit further. And it'll be nice to see them get back together, be a tag team, fight each other. Anything with those two involved is great, in my opinion. I don't think that they can do any wrong. As we start this segment, we see a brief little weird look from Akira Tozawa as he's walking by Jey Uso. And I'm like,
I forgot about that guy.
Yeah, like, what are you going to do, Tozawa? Like, you're not going to do anything. I don't think y'all ever had any beef. And it kind of looked like he was scared and he scurried off. So, I don't know. Maybe we just get a cheapo depot Jey Uso match against Tozawa, but I feel like they're not going to put Tozawa anywhere. I'm surprised they still have him. Like,
they're usually, WWE is typically not a fan of the small guys,
Yeah, back he was 205 Live NXT guy. He doesn't speak English, so he can't be a promo guy. As far as, well, maybe he speaks a little bit. Let me not,
I mean, it's working out okay for Shinsuke.
Yeah, but Shinsuke could speak a little bit of English. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't mind the segments where he doesn't say anything in English.
For sure. But Shinsuke definitely has a presence versus Tozawa.
Yeah, he's 100% got like the anime voice acting vibe down. But all right, so next we had the JD McDonough Sami Zayn match. I was a little skeptical coming into this match. I thought it was going to be very tilted towards Sami. JD had some nice moments. He fits the Judgment Day because he spent probably the first minute of the match running away. Just trying to avoid Sami Zayn. But Sami Zayn was definitely overpowering JD. Some real nice tosses around. JD had a nice flip out of the ring from being thrown into the corner from Sami. He sold that one really well, really ragdolled out of the ring on that. There were some decent moments, I would say.
Yeah, it was a fun little match. Like you said, JD running away from most of it. A couple commercial breaks, kind of slip those in there. Hopefully get those out of the way so we can enjoy more of the main event. But there were still too many commercial breaks in that main event for my liking. But was a nice little spot. JD's, up top, misses, as he jumps off, gets caught in the exploder into the corner. And all I can think is, where your friends at? Like, even just Finn, where is anybody? And as soon as I'm literally thinking that in my head, Zayn lines up to hit him with the big kick, and here comes Dom to save him. And he was the last person. I guess maybe Priest would have been the last person that I expected to come out there, but I did not expect Dom. I expected Finn, or both Priest and Finn to come out, because earlier Priest and Finn were like, yeah, we got some stuff to take care of. I guess that was the contract thing, right? They just said, forget about JD. But
yeah, I was honestly, the whole Dom interference portion was weird to me because Dom comes in, saves JD from the Helluva kick. Sami takes out Dom, and then JD gets the quick roll-up pin off of the distraction. But then Sami took out Dom after the match, and JD really didn't do anything. JD just kind of stood and watched. And then, after a little bit, JD then goes after Sami. Then Sami takes out JD, and then Dom runs away and leaves JD. It was just a very, weird series of events. Somehow it's probably not how Mommy said it should go. It ended well for them. I was expecting, so we went into another Judgment Day segment after this, and I was kind of expecting there to be some sort of, why'd you just leave me in the ring, bro? And there wasn't at all. So I don't know. It was a very weird series of events. It's also really confusing because usually in my notes, I say JD for Judgment Day. And now that we got JD with the Judgment Day, and then I got JD and JD, it's a little unfortunate for me, but that's a personal problem. Yeah, after the match, Dom goes to essentially invite Jay to the Judgment Day. Dom told Jay that no one likes him, just like no one likes Dom. And Jay doesn't really say much. He's just kind of giving him the yeah, okay nod. I don't think it's going to happen, but Judgment Jay does have a little bit of a nice ring to it. Not going to lie.
Very true. Judgment Jay, I like that. Yeah, coming off that past segment, maybe that was part of the plan, that Mommy, the leader of Judgment Day, making sure we stay in good favor with JD because he's soon to come in to replace Priest. It was still weird that Dom just kind of left him in there at the end to get his ass beat, but whatever. But this segment had me cracking up because seldom do we actually get to hear Dom talk, as you mentioned earlier, because he's always getting booed out of the building. And he, pulls up to Jay after just taking 3 steps away from the Judgment Day. And first off, if you're trying to get me to join your group, maybe the whole group should talk to me, not one guy who seems to be the lowest on the totem pole. But he tells him, hey man, we both come from messed up families. We both have Hall of Fame fathers. I know what you're going through, bro. And Jay's there. He's looking at him. He's kind of skeptical. But Dom sounds so sincere. And he's like, don't worry, man. We're here for you with open arms. And And before he walks away, he's like, and I just want to thank you for your time. And man,
Yo,
that just reminded me of like a door-to-door religious person. Like, I just thank you
or
for
a
hearing a
solar
few.
salesman.
Yeah, it's just for hearing my words today.
Yeah, when he said that, I was just like, oh God, this kid, man, this kid. Like, the worst thing that could ever happen to his career is turning face.
Yeah, like I think eventually it'll be huge. You know what I'm saying? Like when his dad is actually done wrestling, like I think he's got a good ass career ahead of him. I think it's so easy to be a face. And I mean, I think he's besides Roman, I think he's the top heel. Like granted he's not the top heel, right? But as far as the fans' perspective, I think
Oh,
he's,
I would
you
say
know,
he has the most heat out of the entire company, including Roman.
yeah.
So I don't know that I'd call that top heel because I mean there needs to be some in ring talent with it, but like as far as just straight up heat, nobody beats him right now. Not even fucking close, dude.
And I think as soon as that starts to die down, that's when you need something big. You need to strike a change. You need to do something because I think that if he stays a heel and they're not giving him the attention that they're giving him now, he will flounder, he will sour. And then when you eventually turn him, he's going to continue to be a nobody. And that's just how they're going to look at it, you know, because I don't like the 619, never have. I just feel that it's a slow move, but
I mean, it only works when Ray does it. Like I understand it. First off, it's impressive that Dom can even do it because he's like 6 inch, like a foot taller than Ray. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure Dom's over 6 foot. He's actually kind of big when you consider his father's, 5'2". Um,
Right.
it's exaggeration, but whatever. Um, because Ray can snap it off quick. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
can be a dynamic move. The one who really needs to stop doing the 619 is Zelina Vega. I literally never want to see her do it again because it's just awkward, slow, and it doesn't look good.
Yeah, like EO Sky does it sometimes. Sometimes they call it a tiger fei kick because I guess that was the Japanese name of it. I don't know, but it's not bad when she does it either. I think on a smaller wrestler aside from Zelina, it's pretty good. I don't know. I feel like Zelina should be, in my opinion, a lot better for who her husband is because he kind of kicks ass. But Dom is 6'1", on for a side note. I just looked it up.
Yeah, so I think it's just harder for bigger dudes in general. But I mean, as much as like despite me saying going face would probably be devastating, he's really set up for it because all that needs to happen is he just needs to like rekindle with Ray and save him from something once before his career ends, and then he'll be like wildly over. Um, just in ring, like if he could deliver in ring, I would be more open to him. But I just feel like he really lacks in ring too. Like I just feel, and we don't hear what he says because he gets booed. But when you do hear him speak, it's just not that great. Like I don't think he's that great on a microphone either. I'm not a huge Dom person.
Yeah, I wasn't when he was doing his whole father son run, you know, and they were tag champs and all that stuff. Like, I didn't like the kid at all. But as soon as he became a heel, oh my god, he became my favorite character. Prison Dom. Oh my god. Like,
Yeah, that's just wild that they even went that direction. Oof. All right, enough about Dom, man. We are on to our main event. Gunther versus Chad Gable. Um, one of the true MVPs of the WWE as a company is Samantha Irvin, without a doubt.
Yeah,
And
when did they hire her? Because it's like, who did this before, and why did they ever have anybody aside from her?
I don't know, but I'm gonna do something sacrilegious right now. I'm gonna criticize her. She says Gable really weird. She's like Gable or something. I can't even do it, but she says Gable really weird, and it stood out to me in not a great way. But anyway, I loved this match. I loved that they gave Gable, even though he didn't win, they gave him the spotlight that they did. Um, I've been wanting them to push him in singles for a long time because he plays his character really well. He's not a microphone savant by any means, but like he's comfortable. Um, he performs really well in ring. I think he's super underrated as a ring performer in general. He sells really well, as we'll document through this match. But he's been someone that, like, before this whole LA Knight craze, like, he was the guy that I was like, I want him with the US title. It just feels good in my mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's an American hero. You know what I'm saying? Definitely should be a U.S. champ or champ in general. Even his boy Otis. I've been a big Otis fan as well, but you gave the props to Gable. All up to him. But we cannot forget the main man himself. I don't think it can be stated enough how much Gunther has done since coming to this company. They had him in NXT UK, where he reigned as a forever champ in that division, putting on bangers with Tyler Bate, with Pete Dunne / Butch, with Ilya Dragunov. All of
Dude, the
those matches,
Dragunov Walter match was
insane.
insane. Oh,
And this match is, hard. I'm hard pressed in my recent memory to find something as good as those recent days as this. And if we look at his physique, look at when he started and where he is
Oh
now.
my God, dude, so much respect for him for just transforming his body. And like I said this last pod, like that KO Gunther match, like this was amazing. The dude just always delivers. Him in the Royal Rumble was amazing. Um Gunther is incredible, dude. And like I really, really, really wish that there was some more substance to the Imperium, because to me, Gunther should be the leader of a faction that is the top faction in the WWE. Like, he just screams it. And I want him to drop the IC belt so bad because he deserves a better belt. Like, he's the one that I would really like to see the world championship on. After whatever shenanigans that they get it off with, off of Seth and through the Judgment Day or whatever, like, Gunther needs to step up a level with the belt. Like he's yes, IC is awesome and honestly kind of an underrated title, but like, dude, universal title. Like he should have it all, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. And three quick points before I start getting into this match. Leading up to this, they're hyping the IC throughout the night. I'm thinking about Gunther, especially in his pre-WWE days. I mean, shit, you could look back at his NXT, but especially pre-WWE, back when he was Walter, he was the chop man. He didn't have, like, yeah, he had a power bomb and a splash, but it was just chops, and he would chop people until their chest turned blue. And especially on the main roster, we get maybe one chop a month. I was like, man, this guy just doesn't chop. But spoiler alert, we get a lot of that in this
Oh
match.
yeah.
And I think it's just all played up in a way that they take that away from his arsenal so that it has even more meaning and impact when it does occur. So I can't argue as much as I like to see it. I like how much more weight it carries by them waiting on that. Speaking on him being a bigger champion, what if we get the whole shenanigans, Judgment Day, turns out Dirty Dom wins it. Nobody wants to see Dirty Dom with it. So we get Gunther. Let's just make him a double champ. Fuck it. You know, he's easily going to beat Dom, and the people are going to love watching Dom get chopped. They're going to love it. Make him a double champ. Just let him own the show. Like,
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
You know, and like I feel like WWE had a conversation with him, because I know back in the day they were trying to start a whole, you know, bigger NXT UK, NXT Europe, and they wanted him to head that off. You know, he was, you know, I guess he didn't want to move to America at first, but eventually moved to America. And there was, you know, that there was some behind the scenes conversation where they said, hey, X, Y, and Z, you know, trim up, shape up, and we're going to strap the rocket to your back. And he's given them everything and more. And I'll let you get started before I start being a little gab girl and getting into this match.
No, like I agree with everything that you said, and you know the dude's an incredible in-ring performer, and who I want to see him have a chop off with is Sheamus. I want to see those two trade chops for like 5 minutes, and Sheamus's milky white chest turning into just a landscape of like post-volcanic eruption, just disaster. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, take a gander, look up Walter versus PCO, Joey Janela Spring Break Part 2, 2018, and PCO, that his chest, I mean, it literally was black and blue. Like it went from white to black and blue, and I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Dragunov's was pretty fucked up in their match. And like you said, by the end of this match, man, like we'll get to it, but there were some good ones. So with the match, I loved how it started with Gable dodging the chops. I was actually laughing. It was fantastic. And Gable was playing it really smart, man. He focused his attack on the left leg early and kind of really focused on that and tried to grab ankle locks multiple times throughout the night. Gable took the chop bumps like a champ, and Gunther delivers the best chops in probably the business. Some really nice spots of Gable tried to counter a power bomb with an ankle lock. I really like that. That was nice. I also like how, you know, Gable wants the title, so he wants the pin. So he kept throwing Gunther back into the ring to make sure. This match was fantastic. Their other matches were fantastic. There was a point where Gunther hit a power bomb off of using the advantage of Gable throwing him back into the ring. And as Gable was getting back into the ring, he grabbed him and hit him with a huge power bomb. And Gable kicked out of it. Amazing moment. And dude, Gable nailed such a huge superplex from the top turnbuckle, and then hit a huge splash. And Gunther kicked out and then just hit him with the ankle lock immediately. Like, the transitions in this match were superb. Gable's arsenal and his in-ring vocabulary is superb. I absolutely loved this match, and I really want them to just give Gable more, because this whole Gable Gunther feud showed that he's deserving of it and can literally hang with anybody in the ring. And I absolutely love how he sells how hard it is to suplex Gunther. Like, the Germans that he was hitting on him, he could have probably snapped it off faster and probably made it look like a normal German. But he made it look so labored, how he had to try and suplex him and basically do it so slow that it looked like he could barely get him up and over. Like, dude, it was such a good sell. I could rave about this match for a while.
Oh man, yes, dude. Just my highlights getting into it, starting off in the match. Gable starts off with a beautiful rolling ankle pick, going right away for those submissions, and I love the ankle lock. I just feel like it's a great submission. It always looks good, especially when you drop down and get the legs hooked into it. It always looks good. But he's focusing on that leg of Gunther. At one point, they're fighting on the apron, and Gunther got one leg hanging out on the apron across the ropes, and Gable hits a nasty dragon screw, right to the knee, slowing down Gunther a little bit, only to eat a big ass chop, a couple big ass chops, and putting Gable back down, but Gable, the fighter that he is, the Olympian that he is, gets back to his feet and pulls the straps down. He starts going back in on Gunther, laying him, tries to get up to the top, but Gunther slaps him back down and gets him with his nasty top rope boot choke where he just bends the guy over the top turnbuckle, putting his boot down into his neck and his throat. Ugh. I don't know how that can be comfortable. That just looks awful. Throws him down. We get a commercial at that point. They're fighting over a power bomb that Gable keeps getting out of. They end up outside of the ring. Gable hits a nice German on the floor, but as you mentioned, he wants to actually win this title, so he has to get him back in the ring as he then eats that nasty power bomb, but he kicks out, which is big because Gunther can win with anything. It could be a chop, it could be a clothesline, it could be a boot. He just wins. So kicking out of that was a big one. They're fighting up top. Gunther hits a nasty chop again. Now we're getting some of these good chops that I've been waiting for. Knocks him off the top rope before Gable runs back up and hits that fucking superplex. Oh man, throws up the double piece for the shoosh to hit a nice fucking splash on him. But Gunther kicks out of that again. But as you mentioned, right from that kick out into the ankle lock, Gunther's drag, he twists himself out of it. Gable rolls through and tries to get that chaos theory, but that gets countered. Gunther tries to hit the power bomb, but that gets countered. Gunther keeps trying to get him in this headlock, but he keeps fighting off this headlock until he hits him with the big backdrop driver, slams him down, picks the straps up, only to take the straps down again before pushing Gunther into the corner to fucking finally hit that big ass fucking chaos theory German. Oh, a thing of beauty. They could have gave him the belt right there, but Gunther kicks out. And Gable's chest at this point is looking like ground beef. He's feeling it at this point. He heads back up top, tries to get, the Olympic moonsault in, gets blocked, but he fights right back into another ankle lock. Now he's getting those good ankle locks in. He's got the body lock in. Gunther looks like he's struggling. He fights for the rope, only for Gable to pull him right back in. He's still getting it in, but Gunther fights his way out, hits some up kicks to hit Gable right in the mouth before catching him into a sleeper. At this point, Gable's bleeding from his mouth. The crowd is cheering him on. He's trying to get that boost, and he starts picking himself up, picking up Gunther, but rolls over on Gunther while he's still in that sleeper. I think this was like that classic Bret Hart, Steve Austin pinfall from like back in the day or something like that. But Gunther kicks out, grabs a sleeper, and hits another one of my favorite moves, the sleeper suplex. How do you just throw a guy by his neck like that?
Dude, that was awesome.
At that point, that was it. because Gable just doesn't have it in him. He eats the suplex. Gunther picks him up for the power bomb, hits him with a big ass clothesline after he struggles to his feet. 1, 2, 3. And we now have the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in WWE history.
It was a beautiful match. And I felt like the fact that he had to finish Gable off, because he didn't go for pins in between in that final segment, like the sleeper suplex into a power bomb, into a devastating lariat, like it was wild. And the fact that he felt like he needed to do all three to get the pin tells you everything that you need to know about the match.
Exactly. And as you know, as the show is ending, we see Gunther walking back up the ramp, and he's showing those signs of fatigue. He's showing what a hard battle he had to go through. You know, how that wasn't just an easy victory like every other thing that he's had before. That man was tired, he was beat, he was sore, and he was feeling it. And, you know, again, towards the end of the show, as we mentioned earlier, Gable's kids were in the crowd, and then we see his poor little daughter crying.
That was terrible. That was terrible to see. I mean, I don't. It's his biggest career moment, so I get him wanting to have his entire family there, but goddamn, that must have been traumatic for his kids, because they probably don't understand the entertainment aspect of the industry by now, you know what I mean? And even if they did, like, they watched their father get dropped on his head, I don't know how many goddamn times throughout that match, by a very large and intimidating man. Even if they do understand the entertainment aspect of the industry, like, that's still got to be traumatic.
And you know those chops are echoing in their ears in the front row, every single one of them. And you know he's going to be there at home the next couple of days. His chest is going to be all fucked up. Are you okay, Daddy?
Yeah, that was... But, you know, the crowd gave him the curtain call he deserved, really. You know, he sat there in the ring, and the crowd cheered him. I honestly felt like most of the crowd was cheering him for the match, as opposed to Gunther breaking the record. And I think that you got the closest you will ever get to Gunther, like, acknowledging and respecting somebody after a match. Because, like, he just kind of lingered for a second and looked at him and, like, almost kind of half nodded, but didn't really, like, do anything. But I feel like for his character, that's his... As far as you will go to see him showing respect to an opponent after a hard-fought match.
100%. 100%. Because, you know, I can't recall any of the post-show interactions between some of those former UK title matches, because I'm sure he sold some like that back in the day, but I can't speak on that to confirm. But 2 social media notes I noted after, you know, this all occurred. Gable on Twitter basically said, "On God, I'm coming back for that title." I don't think that this is over. It could just be a social media thing, but Gable's on Twitter, X.
That was, I don't know, dude. That was the third fight, you know, like, that's the trilogy. And as much as I want to see Gable, and I would love to see that match again, like, it's too soon. You know, have each of them feud with somebody else maybe before revisiting.
Yeah, I think they should just use this to create a new feud and just make like a tournament or something. Or, you know, whoever's going to try to go after Gunther next, Gabe will be like, actually, I'm up first. And then we get a nice little side feud where somebody beats up Gable. And then now we have a quote unquote legitimate contender, because Gunther barely beat Gable. And if you could beat Gable, shit, you might be able to beat Gunther, you know? One other note, Mark Henry, who, you know, we don't hear much of lately, was talking about this match. And he said this match made him cry. You know, I can't speak on exactly what he said because I don't remember the tweet, you know, word for word, but just essentially the poetry between the ropes that this match was, and I can, especially him being so close to the business, I can see how this might impact him a lot more than just a fan as myself. But man, like everybody around the wrestling world, that they saw this and fuck, step up your game, people, because this is what the fuck we're looking for.
Yep, we need more of that. And when I look to some of the better matches on Raw in particular in the last few months, really, I feel like the common thread is Gunther.
Real talk. And I mean, you got your workhorse, he's kind of hurt Seth, but I feel like your top guys, that could be, if they let him go, that could be the best match we've seen on Raw in a long time, if we ever get to see something like that.
Nah, that's a PLE match right there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And not even, well, yeah, because even if they did do it on Raw, it'd be some cheap ass Giovanni Vinci DQ. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they would just use it to plot out the pinnacle match, which will be a PLE. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here with both of them. I think that they need to ride this push with Gable and utilize it, because we've seen this happen to guys and they don't get the rest of the push. This is a really poor example, but when you look at like the losers that were celebrated, to me this was with like Sammy losing to Roman, Drew losing to Roman, of just how like it was such a good performance by the loser, and they get like this curtain call. Obviously there was the hometown instances with those other ones, but like I got a similar vibe from this match from Gable, and I just hope that they continue it and just don't let it like peter out,
Yeah, for sure. And where it could be interesting, it might not be, but I could see them just throwing them back in some tag division nonsense, and they end up, being one of the teams that gets fed to Judgment Day.
Please, no.
But I think we could get some good promo stuff between Judgment Day and Gable and Otis. I think we could have some fun there. But I don't know. I think WWE has always seen Gable as a small guy who's never going to be a top guy. I mean, I think, didn't Vince buy a trademark for Shorty G? Like, didn't they call him that for a minute? Because, like, they just didn't respect the guy. I don't know.
And I don't know. I felt like this match should change their opinion on it, really. I mean, if somebody in Judgment Day ends up with the World Championship or another title, and then they bring it in, and then there's a singles match there, I'd be all for that. But I want to see a singles push on Gable, and we'll have to see where it goes from there. Now with Gunther, I think some of the end game. I mean, we all want to see Sheamus get the Grand Slam, so it would be nice to see Sheamus get it. I could see a situation where it ends up with Jay, but I don't see Jay getting it from Gunther, because there's so many avenues for beef with Jay right now, and Gunther's just literally nowhere in the list. So I almost feel like it would need to be taken off of Gunther by somebody else, and then Jay could go for that belt.
Yeah, I don't know who's next, but I do think that Sheamus is in line. I think that they're giving him a little bit of a break. But is it? I'm so confused. I thought they still had Raw and SmackDown roster members. I thought like The Miz. I thought he was on SmackDown.
LA Knight appears on both. There are a handful of people. Cody will appear on SmackDown. I feel like it's a fluid situation.
Yeah, because like I want Sheamus to be next, but didn't Sheamus and Edge fight on SmackDown? So that leads me to believe that Sheamus is a SmackDown star. I don't know, but if the Brawling Brutes. I guess that was before the brand split, so I don't know, but
Could be at Survivor Series. They could figure out something there.
yeah, but I think Drew's up next. I don't think I think Sheamus is up next. I don't think Sheamus will have a long title run, honestly. I know he in the past was dealing with some like spinal stenosis or something like that, and he's getting up there. So I think that they're likely to give him his belt, give him a few good matches and let things peter out. I could see him beating or maybe losing to Sheamus, to Drew eventually, bring back that feud because they both did want that belt. They were getting mad at each other over that belt. So it'd be nice to see that little circle, story come full circle. But yeah, no, I think Jay gonna be avoiding all Gunther. Plus, I don't really want to see a Gunther Jay match because I don't want to see Jay get his ass beat. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Gunther's just going to eat a couple super kicks to the face and put this man back in the choke. I don't know.
All right, fair on that. It would be a good match, but it would be hard to sell Jay winning in that one.
Yeah, I no clue where I can see Jay going because I just don't know, but he's got to win the heavyweight belt or something.
Yes. I don't know, man. Like they're gonna make him go through some of the people that he'll have beef with, like whether it be Riddle at first or because I feel like that would be a nice opener for him. Because that can be just a regular TV match, and it could be a relatively easy win for Jay, but still be a good match. That would probably be a nice opener. I feel like unless there's weird like interferences and DQs or whatever, I feel like the matches that we want to see are more PLE matches, like Drew Jay. That's a PLE match. If there ever ends up being anything with like Jay Cody, that's a PLE match. Yeah, it'll be a bit, I think, before we get to that point.
But I mean, man, what a good show. Like, I feel like this was such a good show. I don't know.
It was. I mean, the main event really put the exclamation mark on it. It didn't, I wouldn't say it carried the show. There were a little, maybe like too many Judgment Day segments for me. There's just there was a lot, I feel like they usually don't need to do that, but it is what it is. The Seth stuff is interesting. We'll see where that goes from there. The Viking Raiders match was really good. So we had a really nice rounded show. And then we'll see where we end up with SmackDown this week. That'll be the next show that we'll cover.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't know what to even anticipate. I assume there's just going to be a lot of follow-up stuff. But
probably some Jimmy stuff. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm eager to see when Roman comes back because I know whenever he does come back, we're going to get that big announcement weeks ahead of time. I don't think that's going to be a surprise.
No.
So it's just the Bloodline waiting room or LA Knight as well. I think what we'll see is some good progress in the American US title division on where that might actually go. I think that's what we'll get some insight in on the next episode.
Yeah, and maybe we'll learn who is traded to SmackDown.
Can't wait to find out.
All right, man, take us home.
Well, everybody, we thank you for lending us your ears, and we grant you the pleasure once again of our beautiful voices. We will catch you on the next episode with some NXT and SmackDown action, but until then, you may all resume your pitiful lives.
Deuces.